What's up, everybody? It's waba, and I just wanted to make a video talking about a couple of items and Cold Snap and just a couple things before the Incursion League. Unfortunately, for the start of the Incursion League, I actually won't be able to play probably until later today, but I'll still be able to play on day one, and hopefully I could progress pretty well tonight. I'm not entirely sure what build I am playing. I don't know if I'm gonna play a Trapper or a Cold Snap build. But that's kind of part of the reason why I wanted to make this video and put this out there into the ether and see what people think. But for the life of me, I cannot figure out why so many people feel that Cold Snap won't work. Now, when I see Cold Snap, I'll go ahead and pull this over here because this is all the stuff that I want to talk about. When I see Cold Snap, I look at this and I think of it as a cold damage over time spell. I don't think of it as a hit build. I don't think you should look at it as a hit build because the AoE is too small. But the fact that it does grow and expands, and I think it expands to double the size of its original AoE, I think that's what you should really be going for with a Cold Snap build. I understand the damage numbers are a little bit lower right now for the damage over time. And in fact, a lot of the skills that were released, there were a lot of changes to the skills in the patch notes that we just didn't have before. So the damage over time is lower now, but even right now, this skill that we're looking at is a 796 base cold damage per second. And then I compare that to a level 20 Caustic Arrow, which is 765 damage per second. Also, we could look at Vortex as well. Vortex at level 20 deals 684 damage per second. So in that aspect, I think Cold Snap would be just fine. I mean, Vortex, people don't like playing Vortex because of its garbage AoE. So that's that. Cold Snap, it grows, and I see it playing like, the reason why I brought up Caustic Arrow first is because I think it will play much like a Caustic Arrow build. But my gut feeling tells me that there are more multipliers whenever you actually utilize Cold Snap or an elemental skill, because you have things like Elemental Overload. Also, you do get the benefit from Prolonged Pain. You get a lot of the same benefits that you get off of Caustic Arrow, but you have potentially more, being that you can use Elemental Overload. And on top of that, you can use things like Low Life or more spell damage, or you could use things like Righteous Fire and Val Righteous Fire, which to my understanding, now if you were to use a Righteous Fire caster, while you have Val Righteous Fire up, you get more spell damage during the duration of Val Righteous Fire. So essentially doubling up the spell damage bonus that you get out of Righteous Fire. So I just can't really see where people are coming off that they don't think Cold Snap will work. I don't know if it's just because of the AoE. Also, the other thing I'm kind of thinking about with Cold Snap is, since it does, and they did say this, that it doubles its size in AoE. To me, that essentially means that the benefit, I might be wrong on this, but essentially if you get any increased radius or area of effect, increased radius, it's going to double the benefit, the growth from the area of effect. So I think it's going to be pretty good. And, again, I'm really looking forward to playing this, and I hope I could get some good gameplay footage in the next few days, because I know a lot of people are kind of on the fence about it, or they're just, they're upset about Cold Snap being as good as they were. I don't like the idea that it's getting changed to just a sort of utility skill, although it does seem like a good idea if you throw it in like a cast when damage taken setup and then you just get frenzy charges off of it. That's cool and all, but I don't like skills being reworked in a way where it just becomes a utility skill. I'd like to have some new things to play. And since cold skills, outside of like a few in certain scenarios, are just lacking, you know, I would like to have a cold skill that we could just use, such as Cold Snap. But yeah, that actually, so that kind of wraps up my thoughts on Cold Snap. But then I want to talk about something, you know, what I was saying earlier about if you have a lot of area of effect, and the way Cold Snap, the way it might work is you get double the benefit out of area of effect since it grows. The Zealots Amplifier, which was released, I want to do a video on this where I talk about it, but I feel like I might as well just roll into this. So Zealots Amplifier gives you 1% increased area of effect per enemy killed recently up to 50. So I don't think that it won't be very often that you cap out at 50%, but in high density maps, you know, however they exist, in 3.3 Incursion League, you could get a lot of damage over time. And the funny thing about this is the downside almost like doesn't seem to affect you, at least in the build that I'm planning on using, because I want to utilize Mask of the Stitch Demon. Now, if I use Mask of the Stitch Demon, that means I have 0 energy shield, and I won't be able to gain energy shield. So if I haven't been hit recently, I'll have Zealot's Oath, but I'll have 0 energy shield. But that will turn off as soon as I'm hit. So if that's the case, then I don't know what the different, like, this would just be a shield that gives you area of effect and spell damage, which doesn't really seem that bad to me. And yeah, so I don't know. I just, you know, kind of wanted to throw that out there to talk about this a little bit. I think it's really cool. I do have some issues with it. I think the design's a little weird, but overall still a pretty good shield. Like, I'm really curious to see the rarity on it. But if anything, if it works the way I think it does, it could just be a way to get, you know, anywhere from like 25 to 30% average area of effect, or increased area of effect while you're mapping. So that's that. And then the other thing that I actually want to talk about real quick was Coward's Legacy. So I did a video talking about cool Incursion uniques, and I brought up this this belt, and I was thinking about it. And so obviously there's a couple of ways that you could go about making the most use out of Coward's Legacy. You could use Adziri's Reflection, which obviously, or not. First off, I want to stop saying obviously, throwing that out there. But you could utilize Adziri's Reflection, which, as it has been, it's been extremely rare. That might change in 3.3. Maybe the drop rate will be, maybe it's been increased. We don't know how that stuff works. GGG changes that stuff, I would say, on a pretty frequent basis, and we don't really know. They've alluded to that in the past, at least. So you could utilize Adziri's Reflection. This doesn't work if you use something like an Ascendant with a Guardian subclass in Kikazaru, because the 50% increased effect of curses on you is very... I don't know, like, it just undoes that. You need more reduced curse effect on you, and you would need 45% more reduced curse effect. So if there's a way that you could get another 45% reduced curse effect on you through another piece of gear, then you could use this with that setup. But as of right now, you can't. Then the other way that I knew when I talked about it in the Cool Incursion Unique video was you could utilize a Watcher's Eye. But I didn't really want to say anything about that. Not because I was like trying to take advantage of it, because something told me it wouldn't be that easy. And, you know, when it comes to like mapping, you know, for bossing, I think that's good, and I'll explain why. But when it comes to mapping, if you have a map with temp chains and enfeeble on it, right? So obviously you're going to want to maintain a curse immune flask majority of the time. So if you were to use this belt and a Watcher's Eye that made it to where you had determination and made you unaffected by vulnerability, then that would be great, because it's a way you could get pain attunement and not be actually be low life. But if you run any maps where there are curses on him. You know, like I had said, temp chains, enfeeble, elemental weakness. Not only do you have to run that flask just to get rid of it, and that would then get rid of your I'm assuming it would get rid of your vulnerability, therefore you would not be on low life, therefore you would be taking a damage hit. But then you also have 50% increased effective curses on you if you decide not to do that. So you would have 50% increased effect of a red tier temp chains, a red tier enfeeble, a red tier elemental weakness. You know, like, you would have to deal with that at that point as well. And that's, I don't know, like, obviously this requires some testing. You know, once we get into Incursion League, maybe someone could throw on one of these belts and use a warding flask and see what happens to the vulnerability. But other than that, you know, it's just a little weird to think that it works like that, because it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You know, maybe there's some other edge cases that I can't really think about, but as of right now, the only way I can see making this work is, again, it's Zera's Reflection and a Watcher's Eye. Maybe, just maybe, you could just not run enfeeble maps. You could get enough resistances to deal with the elemental weakness, and you could get a I don't even know if this is possible. I don't think it is, but you could get a Watcher's Eye where you're unaffected by temp chains when you have another aura. But then all of a sudden you have to run 2 auras. I think you could get... Let's actually just go ahead and look. Actually, it's easier in here. Items. I'm still working on the Cold Snap build. Watcher's Eye. Where are we at? So, Determination, Val immune, or Vulnerability immune. Where is Haste? See, okay, so you can get a Watcher's Eye with double immunity, but then you would have to run Haste and you'd have to run Determination, which, you know, are both 50% auras. I'm just really trying to think of a time that this would be, you know, I don't think it should be easy to use. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting there saying that everyone should just get Pain Attunement, because that's the way that I look at the benefit of being low life when you're affected by vulnerability. But you know, it's just something that is on my mind and I'm thinking about, and it would be pretty cool if it worked. So yeah, let me know what you think about on all the topics in the comments down below. You know, what do you think of Cold Snap? Do you think there is some place for it? I mean, if people play Caustic Arrow, then why wouldn't they play Cold Snap? Because you could get more multipliers for Cold Snap than you can for Caustic Arrow. Let's see, what else? And you could just get more raw damage out of Cold Snap than you can Caustic Arrow. What else did I talk about? Oh yeah, Zealots Amplifier, pretty cool, but what if you use that on a build with no energy shield? It's essentially, you would only have it after you haven't been hit, but if you're not getting hit, then you don't really need your regen. So it doesn't even matter. And then finally the whole cowards legacy, unaffected or vulnerability, low life, blah 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 blah. What do you guys think about it? Good luck in Incursion League, and I will see you guys later. Oh yeah, if you like the video, like it, share it, whatever. If you've never seen any of my videos, I have a lot of them in the back. I know we have a lot of new players. Please subscribe. Also, I guess I'll throw this in here. I have not said this at any point, but it definitely has affected my viewership. If you could hit that bell, just so you know whenever I get videos, because I used to get, you know, on a lot of the videos I was putting out, I would get decent views, and now it takes me like multiple weeks to break 1,000 on certain videos. There are certain videos I put out like a month or 2 ago that still have not broken 1,000 views. I'm not necessarily saying that they are worth 1,000 views, because I've kind of had some problems with my quality of videos recently, but I'm looking to change that. So if you could hit that bell so you could get notifications whenever I have a video come out, that'd be great. Thanks guys, good luck in Incursion League, and I'll see you later.